He quit and wanted to sell his collection this week for a house.
And then he won Legacy yesterday. So.
Yeah, so he's back.
Yeah. Well, we interrupt this John Johnson discussion to visit our round 4 game already in progress. Both these events. Both these players are 2-1, playing for the top 8s.
There's a satyr. Let's see.
If you get the binders out of my bag.
Do you happen to have a 5 or do I need to go get change from JP?
The 75, right?
Yeah.
I have 5. We doing that drug deal? I can't remember which one it's in, but it's in the back of one of those. So, Brett's on Boros Burn. He's been running pretty good with this deck. He's a young Pyromancer Satyr Fire Dancer deck that sideboards heavily into white cards in Game 2 against the more aggro decks. We saw that last week as he won his winning in match, or top 8 match against George, I think, with that Blind Obedience Chain to the Rocks plan. His opponent is the visiting guest Aaron Carpenter, Justin Carpenter's brother, who's in from Kentucky. We saw him in round 1 in his Jund Monsters deck. This seems like a... You got him? No problem, bud. Have a good one.
This matchup is much better for the Boros Burn deck if it has Satyr Fire Dancers.
Yeah.
If it plays it on turn 2. Because now it's very hard for Aaron to play any card in it last one.
But Satyr Fire Dancer, and I've talked with George about this a lot. We actually talked about this extensively last week in that matchup. How in the matchups where it's good, it's amazing, and then a lot of matchups it's horrible. It's a waste.
Because it just attacks for 1.
Yeah. Or when your opponent, when you cast Peak Eruption and deal 3 to them, and then also deal 3 to their Ash Zealot, like last week.
Yeah. Well, here's a fun play. Brett can Lightning Strike a
Satyr
and then kill the Xenagos.
Yeah, I mean, this has just got bad news for Justin. I mean, this matchup just seems somewhat unwinnable for Aaron. It's a game where Courser of Krufix needs to show up on time, and on time I mean turn 2.
Yeah.
And Scavenging Ooze needs to do a lot of work.
Polar Finesse is very good. I mean, it's the same theory as the Desecration Eagle. Like, you just don't want to... you want to have a fast clock, because the less cards they draw, the less burden they can deal to you.
So Brett choosing a Magma J is going to put 1 on top and 1 on the bottom, redirecting the damage from the Fire Dancer trigger to the Satyr. And looks like he's just going after Justin's life total here, which is probably the right call.
Right. Well, you have the Fire Dancer in play. You don't need to worry about the Satyr tokens.
Mm-hmm. And you've got the Chandra's Phoenix online, so you know he's not. The deck doesn't have any creatures with reach.
Right. That's going to get real nasty if Brett draws a Searing Flood.
Yeah, I know Brett has a Chain to the Rocks in his hand. He just does not have a white source to cast it.
Yeah, that was. I played this deck tonight. I played Boros Burn,
Mm-hmm.
and I chose to not have the Chain to the Rocks in my main deck because number 1, they're not burn spells. Number 2, you only have like 8 to 10 white sources, and if you have 10 white sources, you're playing Guild Gates.
Well, and the thing is too, and this is what I always get on George on about his build, is that I just think he plays too many Scrylands, and you know, all the Scrylands. Not only are those Chain of the Rocks not doing damage, the Scrylands are also not casting spells on turn 1 and 2.
Right.
And I don't think you can really afford too much of that. You have to play some number of them.
You have no turn 1 play, so that's fine. But you have like 24 turn 2 plays that you have to get down.
Well, yeah, and you can't, and to play enough of them so that you draw them for turn 1, you also have too many of them to draw on turn 2 and turn 3.
Right.
Wow, we're living on the razor's edge right here, as Adam Vickers would say, as we're shocking ourselves with an Overgrown Tomb. To cast a Pelucranos? Yep. Now we can, what we're going to do here with our Xenagos, we can make a Satyr, or we can cast a 2-drop. Nope, making a Satyr. End of turn. Lightning Strike you. Redirect to a Satyr. Untap.
He's got a Lightning Strike to Satyr, and then... Oh, yeah, he's right. Lightning Strike him, and then...
Yep, and there's a Chandra's Phoenix off the top. And that will be enough, so we go to the sideboard. Aaron tries to find anything that says gain life to pitch it.
That's what we call Brett's deck, Brett Burn. So Boros Burn.
Charcoal pancakes. Alright, so Brett's up a game with his burn deck in what's likely a favorable matchup here against the Monsters deck. Aaron going to go to 18. I think his hand is. Did Brett even scry?
Or I'll go gate past turn.
I don't know if he did or not. There's no point in playing that card if you don't.
Still a triggered ability.
I think Aaron may have drawn that temple because I think his hand was 2 overgrown tombs. It's like a termaglyph.
Pretty much.
Overgrown tomb and 2 elvish mystics, but could be wrong. Gosh, this is where Fork Bolt would be so good. Arc Trail is like my favorite card.
Electricity in the format.
I used to crush people with Zendikar Scar Standard with Arc Trail. Turn 1 Goblin Guy, turn 2 Arc Trail your guy, get in for 6 total in the game.
Also, a reason I didn't play the Black-White Skyline in my deck tonight, as this being a turn that... Here's a Rakdos return.
What do you feel about this?
For 3.
For 3. I think it's probably good enough, right? But
now, if you don't have anything else to do on this turn, it's better than attacking for 2.
yes, and then your elves getting killed or whatever.
Yeah.
So Aaron, interesting enough, had said that on the ride here, those 2 Sire of Insanities in his main deck were Rakdos return, but based on the ride here, they came here and immediately changed them into the sideboarded slot Rakdos return. So
Brett Magna Cutting after everything resolves. I feel like you probably want to do that in response to see what you're going to draw.
that's a good point. Always the most information. I mean, Justin was tapped out there too, so nothing was going to change. Brett needs to do something other than play lands and pass a turn. That's for sure.
Like I said, this Temple of Silence, it adds 2 to 4 more non-red sources to your Searing Blood deck.
It's a Domri.
So Brett had that on turn 2, he wouldn't have been able to cast it.
Sylvan
Carried.
Caryatid. Leaving Justin's hand, or I keep calling Justin, and Aaron, if you're watching this, I apologize, but his hand it was Forest Caryatid, and I think another land, but I could be wrong.
Justin's gonna, or Aaron's gonna need to find a clock. Brett gonna Boros Charm the face.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see here if Brett can get Rakdos return for 3 and still win this race. I mean, we really need a Storm Breath Dragon here, or interesting. Aaron has Dreadbore still in his deck. What do you think about that?
Well, if the Sacred Fire Danger stays
Yeah, I guess it's a concession to Fire Dancers, but this 2 turn isn't going to get the job done.
No.
I mean, Brett could kill him next turn. Yes, Brett could kill him next turn. You know, 2 lightning strikes here, or Searing Blood. It is interesting that Brett's a 4 Searing Blood deck and hasn't found one. I think Aaron draws a mountain off the... No, it's a temple. And here we see the synergy with Domri. Take up Domri. Rampager.
So, 2 ball, yeah.
Yeah, and then you just hardcast the Rampager, right?
Yeah.
And Brett's at an unfortunate situation where, the way it looked like his body language looked like he was considering killing one of the elves, but you can't really do that because you're...
You know about the Rampager.
Yeah, you can't act. You can never act last. End of turn Lightning Strike. He's at 3.
Let's Bueller it. You Lightning Strike the face. Knock the top of the deck.
Satyr Fire Dancer.
Not the second char.
Well, the Fire Dancer is going to die, more than likely to Domri fight, right? Oh no, wait, we have a Dreadbore. So draw. What was that? It looked like a Lightning Strike. Can't be a Lightning Strike, right?
Be a Lightning Strike.
We should Domri here first, right?
What does Brett have? Brett has 2 spells in his hand.
Tick up Domri.
One of the spells in Brett's hand could easily be Warrior's Helix, which would be perfectly understandable, unless he's not drawing a 4th land. But
Yeah.
he has 2 different spells in his hand.
So we miss on the we miss on the Domri. But Brett's dead next turn because the Domri Emblem will kill him. There's Pelucranos.
With enough mana to fight.
Yeah, but you just use the Dreadbore. Like, why wouldn't you? You just use the Dreadbore. I mean, why would you leave it in your deck and not use it at this point? You don't gain anything by Pelucranosing this turn. And the next turn he's just dead. To be quite honest, Aaron's got to get pretty lucky for any of this to work.
Yeah. And Brett might also have a Searing Blood in his hand and just needed to save it until he had the Fire Danger in play. No, it deals 3 damage.
I don't understand this. Because once he casts it, or does it say the Satyr Fire?
It's on damage.
Okay, so you can respond.
Yeah. It's also a matter that he might be wanting to leave up mana. So there's a Phoenix.
Okay, so Justin's gonna win this one then, or Aaron? Gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's why we don't drink more. We have the instant speed kill there. It could have also been.
But I mean, I know it worked out, but I'm just like, it's a legitimate thought experiment. If you, I mean, it really doesn't matter because as long as you survive that, anything that Aaron did at that point was almost irrelevant because Brett has to get unlucky to not have a burn spell.
Right.
But if you wait, Pelucranos is always going to be bigger.
But you don't need it to be bigger.
Yeah.
You're going to deal 5 damage next turn anyway.
Yeah. Which at the same point, like you also don't need your mana on tap. You could just Dreadbore it. I think it doesn't really matter. I think it would only matter if Brett wasn't guaranteed dead the next turn, and there was some kind of.
The only situation where that matters is if Brett draws a Chandra's Phoenix, and then you can kill it with Pelucranos. So it does avoid the combat step.
Yes.
Like, it has no interaction in the combat step. Its creatures have evasion, like it has Chandra's Phoenix and it has flying. So any part of the game that would be in the combat step, it skips on that. Like that's the only thing that you can say about a burn deck is that it usually doesn't participate in all the phases. But that's the same for like Esper control deck.
It's the same for most of the legacy decks. If I'm attacking for the win legacy, something has gone wrong. That means I drew my one of Emrakul and cast it with Omniscience, and I'm against Death and Taxes. Yeah, so here's the decider. We'll quit talking about our theories on burn as an archetype. And so Brett on the play here with a turn 2 Fire Dancer. And Aaron firing off a Thoughtseize here, revealing a hand from Brett that's not that great. Chain to the rocks that he can't cast, Searing Blood and Lightning Strike. Now it depends on what Aaron's hand looks like, but that Searing Blood's probably got to go.
Yeah. The Searing Blood or the Chain to the Rocks if he has Pelucranos.
Yeah, the Lightning Strike is irrelevant, but
Aaron either has an Elvish Mystic in his hand, or he has no other lands in his hand. If he plays an Elvish Mystic this turn, like he could throw Brett off. But if you're Brett and he doesn't play an Elvish Mystic this turn, Aaron has no more lands in his hand. Because he played that land pre-Thoughtseize. And that's not a land that you play if you have more lands in your hand.
yes. That's a good point. He does take a Searing Blood, which seems...
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
not...
he might have an Elvish Mystic. We'll see what his play here is. And he just passes turn.
Yeah, and then we can have our discussion like we always do about Thoughtseize. Leave it in or no?
If you don't have Duress, you have to leave it in. If you have Duress, you can take it out for Duress.
Yeah, it's still a net gain against Boros Charm if you don't have something better to bring in.
And that's the absolute worst case scenario. Like you saw there.
Yeah, there's the elf, which I guess he just drew.
He just drew. But you saw there that it disrupts Brett's plan. Like if he had a Pelucranos, he has to get that Chain to the Rocks out of his hand, or else that Pelucranos is just going to instantly die. So that's worth the 2 life. It's not always worth the 2 life just to get the 4 damage burn spells, because at that point you're just basically dealing 2 damage to yourself for no mana to the burn deck. But it's definitely worth it to disrupt their plan and to synergize with your plan.
Interesting question, or interesting point in the chat. Interesting that Brett still has Searing Bloods in, as the Mystics, I think, are the only creatures it can hit. I mean, it's very important, but it's pretty narrow there.
Hitting Mystic is so good, though. And you can... You can get an ooze with it. You can use
I don't like this play from Aaron because now the removal is so live, and you have Dreadbore, and Brett's not doing anything. I would rather just use the Dreadbore on the Fire Dancer and hope I could use my ooze when I could activate at the same turn. Oh boy, Lightning Helix is like the best possible thing that Brett could do there.
I mean, Shock did the same thing.
Huh?
Shock does the same thing.
Well, no, but it uses Brett's mana perfectly.
Yes.
There's a Caryatid, probably too late here.
Yeah, there are.
So we know Brett's hand has at least one Chain to the Rocks in it, right? There's a Burning Earth.
Yeah. Not the greatest here.
But it's still, it's just more of a clock. It's going to deal damage. Aaron's stuck on 2 lands anyway.
Yeah, he does. Like Burning Earth, I have Burning Earth in my sideboard. I would not bring it in against the 8 mana Dork deck. It's the same reasoning that I'm very happy whenever people play Blood Moon against me in Modern, because I have 10 mana Dorks in my Birthing Pod deck.
That's a good point too from the chat. Is I'm not really on my game tonight, or ever, because you can't Dreadbore with a Forced. There we go. Running good. We've got
so recoups the 1 life lost.
Yep. And that's a card that's going to be very difficult for Brett to straight out. Well, no, we know he has Chain to the Rocks.
Yep.
So we're just going to Chain to the Rocks on that.
Or we could just Boros try and then send for it the.
Yes, there's a lot of things we could do to kill it.
Red drawing 5 lands though.
Or Warrior's Helix.
That's good.
Is that just as good, if not better, than all the things we talked about? 21, so Brett goes up to 25. Courser dies. Aaron's at 3. Aaron's basically
Aaron's at 2
dead.
because he's going to get attacked by this Fire Trigger Satyr.
Yeah, he's going to get his beats on.
Or Satyr. Satyr Fire Dancer. Why is there a Fire Drinker Satyr and a Satyr Fire Dancer in the same
Matt
block?
Sperling was talking about that.
Jeez.
So
I'm sick of it.
Aaron all night tonight has been plagued by moles and mana shortages.
Mulliganing is part of the game. At least he has the presence of mind to mulligan instead of keeping the double mountain hands that you talked about.
Yeah. But this was on a mold of 6 on the draw, and he still could only find 2 lands. That 3rd land had to come off of the coursing. But Aaron does not have the luxury here of playing around anything. He can Dreadbore the Fire Dancer, but that would put him at 1. And it's almost irrelevant at this point. You can just block it.
Yeah. And classic Chad pointing out something completely irrelevant, that he didn't reveal the top card whenever he had the Courser in play.
Yeah.
It matters in this game. Because Brett's the type of deck that's going to play around knowing that you have a Xenagos in your hand or not.
Yeah.
So we see the Dreadbore finally come down, and the Elvish Mystic. We know 1 card in Brett's hand is Chained to the Rocks.
He's dead to everything in his deck, including this Chandra's Phoenix. So just not in the cards for Aaron tonight. We do appreciate him visiting, and wish it had been under better circumstances in terms of variance, but that's why you play the games. It's not a matchup he's going to be anywhere close to being favored in anyway. I think Brett's a huge favorite, both pre-board and sideboarded. Well, like I said, guys, there's 12 minutes left in the round, but I've got to be here in the morning for Star City IQ, and I've got probably at least 7 rounds tomorrow to do. And frankly, I would like to not be here right now.
Well, if you're going to do the top 8, I guarantee we'll have 6 rounds tomorrow at least. Guarantee it.
Oh, okay. So at least 8 rounds
then. At least 9, yeah. Well, if we play out the finals.
Yeah.
So I don't want to split. So.
Now that we've conveniently, somebody else's stream has just quit because we just picked up like 50 people. Sorry, we're done for the evening. But click the follow button. We will be back tomorrow for a standard Star City IQ. Those are always pretty good tournaments, and we look forward to it. So I hope you enjoyed tonight. I hope to see you again tomorrow. If you can make it, I'm not kidding. You can drive down in person and meet us. If you drive from distance, I will put you on camera in round 1. No questions asked. It's the least I can do. But thanks for watching, guys. Hope to see you tomorrow. Otherwise, have a good weekend. We'll see you next week.